One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcast, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
She's a winner.
And welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, where you take enlightened entrepreneurs, coaches, and influencers together to discuss cutting-edge topics in the world of relationships, culture, business, and spirituality. And here's your host, Miss Carol Boston.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. It's our first show this year. There have been some challenges getting 2024 started. We're going to spend a little time talking about that today because we're going to talk about how to turn pain into purpose. But those of you who follow me know I'm your weather girl, and I'm looking out here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Oh my goodness, it's been a beautiful day. It's only about 70 degrees, breezy, a little bit of sun here and there, unlike the rest of the United States. So when I see you in the comments and you're chiming in, let me know where you're chiming in from and what the weather's like where you are. That wonderful voice that you just heard introducing me, Jeff, he is in frigid, freezing cold Detroit, Michigan. It is cold up there in the negatives. Oh my goodness, Mother Nature. Had someone tell me today that they were talking to somebody and that they were talking about the fact that it's been cloudy here. We've had quite a bit of rain for this time of year. Don't get me wrong, the grass in the ground is very happy. But they were talking about the weather, because when I went to see this man this morning, he's like, is the sun going to come out tomorrow, Carol? And I said, I'm the ray of sunshine. And just as I said that, a little ray of sunshine came in the window. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, no, I didn't manifest that, but I'm telling you that for a reason. This person that he was talking to, he thought they were pretty cool and everything until she said, all of the weather problems here in the United States are being controlled by the government. I said, did she really say that? He said, she really said that it's our government that's causing all the storms. And I thought, oh my gosh, people really believe Trump is bigger than God. Because that's what this woman said. She said, when we get him back in office, North Carolina, sunny temperatures, 38 degrees. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad it's sunny there, 38 degrees. I don't know who you are, but tell me who you are in the comments. It just says Facebook user. You have to give StreamYard permissions for me to be able to see you. And so it's interesting how we continue to look outside of ourselves and blame something, someone, someplace, right, for where we find ourselves in our lives. How many of you know that if you're in a mess, you had a part in creating it, right? You're the common denominator. We all are in our own mess. Wilkins Tracy, well, thank you so much for joining today. We don't have any guests today. It's our first kickoff show of the year. What makes it our first? Well, my father passed away last week, and he was in the hospital the week before, and that's when I had just found out that very, very day on that Wednesday. And so I chose not to have a show. Not because I always want to show up happy, because trust me, if you went and saw my Facebook Live show that I did last week after he had passed, oh no, actually I did it right before he passed, you would know that I showed up in all the real authenticity of all the emotions, all feelings. Hello, Crystal Geneduku. Crystal and I go back several years, and Crystal, you probably don't know that my father passed away. I did talk about it last week. We're not going to make that the focus today, but we're going to talk about a couple of things about our purpose and turning our pain into purpose, and how do we get to honor those? And what are you willing to do to step into your purpose, right? So I had a past client call me up recently and tell me how awesome her life was going. Now, this particular past client hired me to help her in business. She happened to be in politics, believe it or not. And Crystal said, "Oh no, I will message you after. I'm so sorry for your loss. I didn't know." Yeah, I know you didn't know. I knew. It's very recent. This woman happened to be in politics and hired me to help her. And I'll never forget, about 4 months, 3.5, 4 months into the 6-month program that we created for her, I got a text from her. I still have it. And she said, "I want to thank you so much. You saved my marriage." Now, how does someone who people view as a business leadership and sales coach save marriages? Because it's about how we're showing up in our personal leadership. It's about effective communication. As a business coach, I don't just ask you, how many phone calls did you make today? How many lives have you done? How many people have you met? How many sales calls? Yeah, we talk about those kind of things because most of my clients want to grow their business. They either want to start or grow their business. But what we get to understand is our business is only going to grow as much as we grow. And I've been going through some growth pains, right? Growth pains. We all get to go through them. She was also very successful in her business. But one of the things that helped her was learning how to communicate effectively and to use empowering questions. Now, those of you who follow me know I teach and train on empowering questions, how to get the answers that you really want. Had another past client, actually 2 gentlemen who were in business together. They also happened to be partners. And I was speaking to one of them in a private session and saying, an empowering question never, ever, ever starts with why. And we talked about that. And he said, "Oh, my partner hates it, gets so mad at me when I ask him why. I'm just trying to understand." Why will never get you the answer that you're truly looking for. And as I began to help him craft his languaging to understand and be able to speak to his partner better, when I had a private session with that partner, the first thing that partner said was, "Oh my God, thank you for getting him to stop asking me why." Folks, we don't realize that we create as we speak. Oh my gosh, Catherine Schwark is here. Hi, beautiful. I've been going through similar growth pains. Well, put it in the comment. Put YANA. You are not alone, Carol. I'm so glad to hear that. Everybody say hello to Catherine and Crystal. Crystal says, "Well, I can attest to that. Effective communication and how all of those things you taught me in our coaching that led me to this place where I feel like I'm truly living my purpose." Oh, that warms my heart. I am so glad to hear that, Crystal. Crystal's another very successful past client. The key is she was willing to do the work, right? She was willing to walk through it and learn new leadership behaviors, tactics, and ways of effectively communicating. She learned how to set better boundaries. She learned the power of her no. As a matter of fact, the power of the no is one of the topics I'll be speaking on at an upcoming women's retreat here in sunny South Florida. If you're somewhere else, DM me or send me a message if you want some information on that retreat. It's about badass women, right? It's a badass women's retreat, March 15th to the 17th. Catherine says, "Yana, Carol, thank you so much." And Crystal says, "Hi, Catherine, hello." So yeah, we get to look at what are we doing with what we have? Or are we focused on what we don't have? Right? Because what we focus on expands. It's how people make mountains out of molehills. Carol, this is supposed to be the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. Yeah, I'm learning more and more about my intuition every day. Oh, Catherine says yes to effective communication. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, in a difficult conversation with a family member, they said something to me and I said, "What do you think I did?" I didn't defend myself. I didn't point fingers. I said, "Well, I'm just curious," right? People who know me learn that's a powerful, powerful way to help keep the judgment and the emotion out of the conversation. "Well, I'm just curious." And then you ask a powerful question. Because when we can keep the judgment and the emotion out of the conversation, our conversations are much more effective. Yes? I'm going to digress for a second because I know Crystal gets her eyebrows done, and I've never gotten them done. Crystal, can you tell I had my eyebrows done today? This guy who is the makeup artist on the red carpet to Hollywood stars did them for me today for free. Crystal says, Carol Boston quote, celebrate the attempt. I still do this to this day. Kudos, 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 celebrate. Yes, we get to celebrate the attempt without judgment. I got feedback on my Facebook Live from last week from people I hadn't even heard of, people from my high school I haven't talked to in decades reaching out to me. Who can we touch when we're being real and being authentic? Yeah, we celebrate the attempt without judgment. And that's a powerful, powerful piece. Crystal says, yes, looks fabulous. Catherine says, you look amazing, Carol. Oh, cool. And free is always the best. Exactly. Let me tell you about that story a little bit, because we're going to be all over the board today. This gets to be our day to have fun and kick off the year. And if you want to be a guest on this show, DM me so I can get you a link out there. As a matter of fact, I owe someone a DM because I talked about it on another show. Where was I going with it? Oh, yeah, Crystal. So I'm on the board of the Women's Executive Club. I've held the position of VP of Internal Involvement for 5 years. And one of my roles and responsibilities is to get great speakers. Today, we had Michelle Rigby Assad. If you don't know her, look her up. Like, everybody's looking at me saying, how in the world did you get her to come and speak for free? And woman don't speak for free, but she did. She even drove down and got a hotel room last night so she could be on time. I think she sold a lot of her books, but not as much as her speaking fee. Michelle Rigby Assad was undercover CIA for 10 years in places like Baghdad. I mean, she had difficult assignments. Part of that is that she says not fluently, but she could speak Arabic, and her husband could speak Arabic fluently. And they were actually in the CIA together. Now, I wanted her to tell some of the stories in today's talk to inspire these women that she told me over the Zoom when I interviewed her to see if she was a good fit. I would say, oh, tell that. Oh, you got to tell that story to my women. You got to tell that story. And she didn't. You know why? She wanted to sell her book. How many of us are guilty of giving it all away up front? I've done it before. And don't get me wrong, she gave a great, powerful talk. People were enthralled, and she got a full hour today, and our speakers typically get 30 minutes, but we arranged for that. But she talked about, she's passionate about, stop coddling the young people who are coming up today and telling them to avoid pain. They don't have to feel pain. And if it's hard, they don't have to do it. Right? Growth comes through our pain. We learn through our pain if we're willing to. If we're willing to. She went through some stuff. Number one, as a female in the CIA, and she and her husband joined the CIA 1 month before 9/11 hit. Can you imagine? 1 month before 9/11. And she has incredible stories of overcoming. One of her stories was being over in Baghdad, and they were getting nowhere interviewing this terrorist. And her husband says, let Michelle do it. Let Michelle do it. And they're like, oh, she didn't have it, blah, blah, blah. She was the only one that got what they wanted out of that terrorist. Now, part of it, she said, was because of her women's intuition. The first time she interviewed this person, she's like, something isn't right. Something isn't right. She couldn't put her finger on it. Then they had her interview another guy for hours. This is a guy who had been one of their connections, not her connection, but the whole CIA's connection, getting informant information. And she interviewed him, grilled him. 8 hours, tons and tons, pages and pages of information. Went back to the barracks and told her husband, something's not right. Something's not right. He said, what do you mean? You just got 8 pages of intel, this. You were amazing. Everybody said you couldn't do it. Now what do? They keep coming for you to interview the terrorist. Her woman's intuition wouldn't let it go. Took her several days, she said, multiple days. And she said, oh, he's not a terrorist. He's not a terrorist. And then she showed us physically how terrorists would swagger into their room. But this guy was timid. Now, he had a lot of good information. Turns out, in the town that they were in, everybody knew who the terrorists were. There was a strong Christian faction, and then everybody else knew who the terrorists were. Well, they were paying this informant for all of this information. And he was feeding his 12 children. Right? So when the gig was up and they rounded up all the terrorists, he didn't know what he was going to do to feed his family. But through his pain, he found purpose. Crystal says, pain experience. I've learned that pain is necessary for growth. Yes, it tears us apart to build us up and make us stronger. Same way our muscles work on a physical level. You can't become stronger or get growth until your muscle tears, which is necessary to build. I've been strength training, so using that analogy. And in life, I realize if we let it, the pain is used to grow us and make us stronger. Amen. It doesn't feel good when we're going through it. And has anybody been like me? Sometimes I'm like, I just want to quit. This is too much pain. This is overwhelming. So I was listening to another lady yesterday. Her name is Buki, B-U-K-I. Cool lady, strong Christian lady. Do her show on YouTube. And she teaches other women the Christian principles of the Bible that help them grow their business to have a six-figure business like she has. And she wanted me to come over to London to speak in an event she was going to put on this year. And she decided to postpone the event. And I just happened to be free yesterday, so I listened to her. And here's one of the things she said. She's talking about God's purpose, and she talked about Scripture and what people went through in Scripture. But she said something that really made me stop and listen. She said, if you know that you're pursuing God's calling, when everything looks like it's going the exact opposite of what you wanted, what you're working towards, what you thought you were called to do. She said, that's when most people quit. That's not the time to quit. That's the time to stand the test. She sees that as showing you that you're in your purpose and you're going through all of this turmoil and pain for growth, just like Crystal said, for a reason. Yes? So turning our pain into our purpose. Having said that, I did talk on the show a month or so ago, back on December 6th. I had a good friend of mine who also passed away very suddenly at the age of 50, almost 15 years younger than me. Like that. Her name was Tracy. Right? She was the light that nobody could ignore, doing amazing things in the world of nonprofit and giving back. And so in speaking with my friend Jeff, he said, what could you do? What 5 things could you do to honor Tracy? And I want you to know the first thing I wrote down the list was go see my dad. And I didn't get there in those 4 weeks. Didn't even know. He was not in poor health. He was 92. Not in poor health. The second thing I talked about is I'm going to pick 5 women who've been in front of me before. And now that my father's passed, I might do 7 or 8 women, maybe as a way to honor him, because he was a giver, always believed in giving. He always was a tither. And I'm reaching out to 10 or 15 women, whatever it takes, to find 5 who went through the coaching call with me and decided not to move forward for whatever reason, whether it was financial reasons, whatever the reason. And I'm going to find the ones that I knew I really, really wanted to work with. I knew I could help. And I'm going to meet them where they're at. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not giving away my services. My services are valuable. But some of them I know couldn't afford the full investment. So we're going to do 5 custom crafted, created programs to meet them where they're at as a means of giving back. If you're following the show and you were one of those, and I haven't reached out to you yet, reach out to me. Reach out to me. That's going to be part of my way to give back. Catherine said, I agree. The grass is always greener after the storm has passed. And another way to look at it, and I've looked at this in my own life, oftentimes my clients are a mirror for me. If we're willing to let them, they can be a mirror for us. Right? And I remember saying to someone, everything you want is on the other side of the work that you're not willing to do. I was saying that to them. I said it for me. And I got to look at some of the areas, especially areas of technology and automation, that I haven't been willing to do. I haven't been willing to learn them. I just want to do what I love. Well, I get to learn those other pieces too, because if I hire someone to do them, which I have in the past, turns out I was paying somebody very good money, and nobody on my email list had gotten an email for almost 6 months. I didn't know that. I was writing content 3 times a week. It was on a complicated platform. That's on me, right? So we get to learn. Crystal said, that's great, and I'm sure you'll get the ones who are meant to work with you in this season. Yes. Catherine says, let's connect and craft me a custom package. Let's do. Crystal said, oh, no. Yeah, it's true. I did a master class summer before last, Crystal, and people that I expected to sign up didn't. And one of the ladies, her name is Marta. She's a great lady. I reached out to her and I said, are you coming to my master class? And she said, I didn't know about it. I'm like, it's been in the emails. I've been promoting it. She said, I haven't gotten an email from you since February. I said, what? I was writing good content 3 times a week. Thought it was going out. That's on me. When we're operating at what? Level 4 responsibility. We understand that we are 100% responsible for everything. And I bet when I say that, some of your brains went, no, I'm not. Right? Listen, as soon as you blame something else or outside of you, you can't control that. You just gave up your power. We may not like all the results we have. I like a lot of I don't like all the results I have. So I get to look at where was the breakdown in my leadership. That's why I say our clients can be a mirror for us if we let them. And sometimes our close relationships can be a mirror for us if we let them. I had a client say to me one time, I was moving in between places. It was a mess. And she looked at me, she said, I think you're disorganized, just like me. You know what I thought? Talk about intuitive, if she only knew at that time, right? Living out of boxes and bags, not even unpacked. Think about it, folks. So as we step into 2024, let's just be willing to take a look at those painful times in 2023. And for me, the one that came up in 2024, and look at the blessings that can come from that. We get to walk through those emotions, because let's face it, if we didn't know pain, we wouldn't know joy. It would just become commonplace, right? And how can we use that to fuel our purpose? That's what I'm going to do for my father. That's what I'm going to do for Tracy. And I hope you'll join me. If you want to be a guest on this show, please DM me, or you can go to lifecoachingtoday.com. You can find this show and you can fill out the application. We've had some great guests last year. I know we're going to have some this year as well. And we cover a wide array of topics. Now, the introduction says we're cutting edge. Well, how many of you know that I'm not really that edgy? I have an edgy haircut. But in many ways, I'm pretty middle of the road. But I bring on some edgy people and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And I get to learn. We get to never, ever stop learning and practicing. One of the things I teach my clients is how to become a professional athlete in your business. What's the first thing a professional athlete does? Someone put in the chat, what do you think of the first thing a professional athlete does every day? They show up no matter what they feel like. They show up no matter what they feel. Now, I'm not saying if they have COVID or they're super sick. That's not what I mean. How many of you have had days where I just don't feel like doing that today? I don't want to get out of bed today. I want to watch Netflix today. Catherine's giving me the thumbs up, right? But we get to learn how to become professional athletes in our business, right? Professional athletes are willing to practice when everybody else is resting. It doesn't mean you become a workaholic. But sometimes you get to practice. So that goes for me, right? I get to learn which technology platform. I get to choose which technology platform that I want to learn and make that a big growth for my business this year. Crystal said, Carol, not sure if you got the invite I sent you to join this group in South Florida. It's called the HH Social Club Business. Great group. Very interactive. The group owner, Scott Walker, started this happy hour social club that grew to 4,000, and he started this separate group for business owners to post and promote, and individuals are mostly in South Florida. Definitely check it out. Scott is great and created a great networking. If you sent it, I apologize, I overlooked it. I don't recall, but if you could shoot it over to me in a DM again, I would love to definitely check into that. That's definitely one of my goals this year, is to get back to being the Carol who's out and about networking. Before COVID, I used to do 20, 30 networking events a month. That's how I grew my business at the time. I loved it. I loved the connection, loved the people. If there is a guest that you would like me to invite on the show, let me know. And if you're someone like Crystal was, and like Catherine wants to be, to work with me and get phenomenal results, I could sit here and talk. Maybe I'll bring Crystal on and let her talk about it, because it warms my heart. This woman made some radical changes. And some of them she adopted so quickly, it was amazing. Why? Because she was open and willing for the coaching. Folks, when we look at our lives and we say, what I'm doing today isn't working, we get to ask ourselves, well, what one thing could I do differently? And then put in the result you want. Or what one thing could I stop doing? What one thing could I start doing? Or what one thing was I doing that was working that I quit doing it? And if I went back to doing it more, would get me better results. Think about it. Crystal said, I'll resend it to you again, and we can go check out some events. They're amazing. Scott works out with me as well at our gym. Oh, cool. All right. Please do send it. I love that. Well, we've come to the end of our half hour today. This has been the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show with Carol Boston. I'm your business leadership and sales coach, as well as, you can see the moniker, Queen of Reframe. If you're ready to reframe how you look at sales and business and leadership and change your life this year, private message me. Let's get started. Today or one day, you get to decide. Catherine says, what one thing? And yes, it's just one thing. It's got to be specific and time bound. Think about all the people that you know that have read The Secret and they're calling in. There's a book called Calling in the One, because it's the one. And if we're too broad in our array, the answer doesn't come. Clarity. Universe likes clarity. Catherine says, my queen of reframe. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Crystal said, amazing show, Carol. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Be back next Wednesday. We'll be here. We may have a guest. We may not, but we're going to show up. And let's make 2024 our best year yet. Blessings to each and every one of you. And until next week, go in peace. And make it your goal to make one person smile every day. Blessings to each and every one of you. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, brought to you by Life Coaching Today magazine, empowering your health, your business, your community, your life. Check out the latest issue today at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.